Tonight, we're diving into a force that's as old as time itself, karma. You know, the idea that every action has a reaction, that the universe is keeping some kind of perfect, unwritten score. We've got 3 true stories for you, stories that really seem to be guided by the invisible hand of fate, and honestly, they might just change how you see the world.
No power in the world is equal to the power of karma. That's a pretty powerful idea, isn't it? It really sets the stage for what we're about to talk about. But here's the question. Does this power always deliver the kind of justice we expect? And, what happens when it doesn't? Let's find out.
So, the law of karma. We usually think of it as this big cosmic scale, balancing things out over different lifetimes. But what if that balance is struck not in the next life, but right here, in this one, swiftly, decisively, and right before our very eyes?
And that's exactly what our first 2 stories are about. They're about men who lived lives of such extreme cruelty that it almost feels like the universe itself just couldn't wait to respond. Justice didn't send warning, it arrived suddenly, and it arrived with a vengeance.
First up, we're looking at the death of the cruel. We've got 2 different men, living totally different lives, but they were united by their brutality. And as you're about to see, they were also united by the shocking, almost poetic similarity of their final moments.
On one hand, we have the infamous 9 Corpse Killer, a guy whose crime just absolutely shocked the entire nation. And on the other, we have Thong Deng, a neighborhood bully whose reign of terror was, smaller in scale, but just as vicious. Both of these men thought they were completely untouchable.
The story of the 9 Corpse Killer is just chilling. Over a small debt, he and his gang went to this remote house and they systematically hanged an entire family from the staircase railings. We're talking men, women, and even toddlers. But here's the insane part. Thanks to a really good lawyer, he only served a few years. He got out, cocky as ever. Then, one day, years later, he's getting off his bike, and another motorcycle pulls up. The passenger hops off, and boom. In just a few seconds, his violent life ended in a hail of bullets. Justice, it seems, had finally found him.
Okay, now let's look at Thong Deng. This guy was the local tough guy. He'd beat up anyone who looked at him wrong, and he had this weird special hatred for animals. I mean, he systematically poisoned the neighborhood's dogs, cats, even birds by the hundreds. The locals were terrified. After he shot a soldier who stood up to him, he ran, but eventually he came back, thinking everything had blown over. And one day, right there in front of his mother's food stall, a motorcycle pulls up. A masked man asks, "Are you Thong Deng?" Before he could even answer, he was shot dead.
Are you seeing the pattern here? It's pretty eerie, right? In both cases, a motorcycle shows up and delivers this swift, professional execution. The killers vanished without a trace. And here's the most telling part. When the news got out, the communities didn't mourn, they were relieved. It was like this dark cloud had finally been lifted. It's a perfect, almost poetic ending. A clear case of karma.
But fate isn't a formula. The universe, well, it isn't always so neat and tidy. Our third story, it's going to take this whole idea of simple, righteous karma and turn it completely on its head.
Now, I want to tell you a different kind of story. I want you to meet Udom, a man whose life was the absolute polar opposite of the first 2. He was a good man, a kind man, who pretty much endured a lifetime of suffering with this quiet, incredible grace.
I mean, Udom's life was just one hardship after another, right from the very beginning. He was abandoned as a baby, raised by this very poor elderly couple. He had no birth certificate, no ID card, which basically made him a ghost in his own country. He couldn't get a proper job, couldn't even get a driver's license. But still, he worked tirelessly as a laborer and was so loyal, sending money back to the couple who raised him until the day they died.
So what did this man, a man who had absolutely nothing, dream of? Not money, not power, just the simplest comforts. He once told his boss, "I dream of sleeping on a soft mattress with a TV to watch and a girl to bring me food. But I know it's just a dream. It's just a heartbreakingly simple wish."
His generosity was just immense. After the couple who'd raised him passed away, he went back to his old village and he basically adopted another poor elderly couple he felt sorry for. He promised them he'd send 500 baht every single month so they could eat well. I mean, for a man who had so little himself, this was an extraordinary act of kindness.
Well, one day, Udom's boss, a man who had really grown to admire his quiet dignity and hard work, heard about this humble dream of his, and he was so moved by the story that he decided he was going to do something incredible. He decided to make that dream come true.
even if it was just for one single night. So the boss took Udom out. He bought him drinks, took him to a nice hotel, and paid for a beautiful woman to keep him company for the night. For the very first time in his life, Udom slept on a soft bed. He watched a TV from his pillow. He got to experience a night of kindness and comfort that he probably thought was only possible in the movies. He told his boss it was the happiest night of his entire life.
Just a few days later, Udom was working a late shift. His boss asked him to do a small errand. Just run across the dark road and buy him a coffee and some cigarettes. Udom looked both ways, saw a pickup truck pass, and he started to run. He never saw the other car. It was speeding, hidden from view, and it swerved out from behind the truck. He was killed on impact, just like that.
At his funeral, the elderly woman he had promised to support just collapsed in grief. Crying over his body, she revealed that she had been hand-sewing a soft mattress for him. It was a surprise gift to thank him for his kindness. Her words were just devastating. "I was making it for you. Why did you have to die?"
And this brings us right to the heart of the whole thing. We're left with a fate that has no easy answers. The first two stories gave us this really satisfying, almost movie-like sense of justice. Udom's story just shatters that completely.
So, why? Why do cruel men who cause so much suffering get this clean, almost righteous end, while a good man who endured a lifetime of pain gets struck down by a random, senseless accident right after his one moment of pure happiness?
This is where the whole idea of karma gets really complicated. Maybe it isn't about some grand balancing of the scales. Maybe it's not about punishment and reward at all. Could it be about the small moments of grace? Was Udom's karma the tragedy of his death, or was it the profound kindness of his boss that let him experience heaven on earth, just once, before the end?
Or maybe the answer is even bigger than that. Is karma just the word we use, the story we tell ourselves, to try and find some meaning in a world that is often chaotic and random and deeply unfair? A way for us to find answers for the things that happen in our lives that we just can't otherwise understand. What do you think?